Heavy as the crown. Chapter 7. Birthright. As Excelsa walked into the distance, which had a dark violet hue to its night sky, he could begin to feel the temperature drop as a dense fog approached his wary light footsteps. He was listening intensely because he had heard the cry or howl of a creature a few moments earlier. A long night awaited him, with no shelter. His best hope, he felt, was to stay on the move or find a cliff or some sort of plateau mountain for him to wait till the rise of the planet star, Pexla. That's what Raven had taken to calling it, unknown to Excelsa. Excelsa's footsteps became heavier, his feet dragging in the sand. This area of the arena seemed to be without any adaptium, but with the metal being almost living, it could grow and envelop the area in a matter of moments. The weight of Excelsa's heart began to increase. It was tearing him apart. He hated to admit it, but it stung him how his peers had rejected him. But who could blame them, he reasoned. As he spoke, a familiar feeling crept over him. The orange light surrounded him, blinding him from the reality of the cold, harsh night. It wasn't saving him from the night, it was adding misery. He fell to his knees, grasping the ground in his hands to find some comfort. The tension in his body stiffened, feeling the blades dig into him, screaming in pain before collapsing on the floor, panting and trying to calm himself. They were getting more frequent, these visions. He needed to know what they were. Who and what was it? He soon found himself back in the darkness. Rain starting to fall. The pink rain changed to blue as it hit the ground. He needed to know his limits. He could feel something. He needed to understand what he was. He closed his eyes, feeling the breeze, every raindrop on his skin. Something was calling him, a faint whisper. He was trying to remember. He got on his knees, one hand outstretched, begging for an answer from a force, for one to pick him. He was in pain. A crackle broke the silence as his closed eyes were illuminated. He opened them. The sky was buzzing with lightning, the lightning striking the ground, the thunder deafening its roars as a bolt struck the air in front of him, hanging in midair. More bolts added to it as it formed himself into a zephyr, the symbol of the lightning force, the purest, most upright representation of the force. It was here to give him its approval. One of the rarest sights, it soon bolted away as the lightning storm disappeared. He had been chosen by a very powerful force. Excelsa looked at the planet, feeling the lightning course through him, begging him to use it. In his heart was this purity to do good, but so much of him was unsure. The beginning of his life shrouded in mystery. The potential of the power he had drew the attention of another force. Darkness. From a nearby black hole, it split from its host who had been watching Excelsa closely. The shadow force could sense that Excelsa could turn. It revolved around him curiously, sniffing him out as it were, like a dog sniffing its meal. It inched closer as it spread itself to embrace him. The darkness was accepting him. Excelsa's eyes turned from the stunning lightning blue to the gravest, darkest black. He breathed a sigh of relief as he cracked his neck. The host of the embodiment of darkness, Tenebris, watched attentively. Excelsa's tears fell as his nightmare of being stabbed returned. The same orange hue.
Revenge.
The darkness whispered to him.
You seek relief, my child.
Excelsa had fallen to the force that removed all the light from its hosts and users. Tenebris pouted as he slowly shook his head. Excelsa relaxed his shoulders, lifted his head up, eyes closed. spread out his arms with clenched fists. He opened his eyes, the lightning fully covering his eyes. He had rejected the darkness. It turned and looked at him with a wry smile before it returned to Tenebris. Excelsa turned and looked straight at the black hole, at Tenebris. Using 2 fingers, he beckoned him to come towards him. The darkness wrapped itself into a cloak around Tenebris as he absorbed what was left and flew towards Excelsa. As Tenebris' feet touched the ground, his constantly shifting body solidified. His black eyes shifted with a red vertical slit, their raised heads showing no backing down from the challenge each posed. Excelsa's eyes flickered with lightning. Tenebris opened his palm and closed his fingers around the hilt of a dark matter blade. Excelsa responded with a bolt of lightning straight into the ground next to him. As the thunderous boom from the lightning faded, Tenebris looked intently for a while at Excelsa. He smiled at him before absorbing the blade back into his body. I knew you were different. The darkness adjoined you, showed you its great power, and you rejected turning to the darkness. You're only the second person I've seen reject it. Excelsa smirked. So, who is the first person? Tenebris looked at him. I am. Excelsa raised his eyebrows. Okay, odd, considering you look like the darkness itself, and what exactly is that supposed to mean? Tenebris laughed. I am the darkness itself, and for what it means we are friends already. You a bit fast, you know nothing about me, but considering I have got nothing and no one, friends it is, Excelsa finished off politely. Excelsa, Tenebris began to explain. When the darkness bound to you, it latched onto something. It could only bind because of that darkness inside you. But now that it did, I know everything about you. For a person of your intellect, I would think you have already tried to forge a weapon. But your fear holds you back. This planet, you need to be prepared. It has its phases. It will come for you. I am going to help you, or at least try to advise you. The first thing we need is shelter, Excelsa pointed out. And I don't know about you, but I am not big on building. We will fix that, Tenebris said. The two shook hands. There is a cave nearby. Excelsa looked at him, puzzled. I absolutely do not see one. It's flatter than anything I have seen. Tenebris shook his head. Your power isn't something to hide from. It's the answer. It's always the answer. Especially for someone like you. Let me help you understand. Tenebris' eyes narrowed as his hands let out dark matter. He whispered to it, Preset humus Tenebris, ad format intrum. A cave formed in front of them. That's barely the surface. I will teach you, Tenebris said, as he headed into the cave.